All right, we're officially 2 weeks away from August, which means we're just a few weeks away from the NFL preseason, which is unbelievable to think about. But this is gonna be our final episode, I think, Mark, for a couple weeks, and then we're basically right off and running with the divisional previews and then eventually the full season
Yep.
predictions, playoff seeding, type of situation, all of that. So,
I
this
like to
is the
think of
last episode of just kinda shooting the shit, and
yeah.
then we're diving right in.
I like to always think of that as the start of our season. Like when we start those
Yeah,
divisional previews, we don't give the records. We just kind of give like who we think, the order, and go like that. To me is always like we're locked in, and now we're in. Like August 1st, we're on. I feel really lucky that we've had the World Cup this summer. I was I said on the last week's episode, like it has filled such a void, as far as like not being like locked in, like I care, but I care like I think a lot of Americans care, which is like I just like a big event. Like the fact that you got Spain's flag versus France's flag, and it's like boom. I don't know
yeah.
anyone on Spain's team. I know Mbappe obviously for France. So you're just like, dude, sign me up. Like just a big event like that has just been so much fun. It feels I've tweeted out many times. It has felt like we've had a Sunday, America's Game of the Week game where it's, Bears,
Sure.
Packers. It feels like that where tomorrow you're getting Argentina, England. Like that is so electric. I know the
The
time
matches
zones.
have been really
Yeah,
compelling. I mean, there haven't been many complete blowouts.
no,
They've
except for
been
the
entertaining.
Americans. Yeah,
Ye
and
Yeah.
so that has filled such a void. Like as soon as we get done with this, put the MLB All Star Game on. Our Cubs have given us plenty to watch for in the first half of the season. They
A
had the
wild
best
year.
record in the league, then the worst record in the league, and then the best record in the league. Hopefully, they can find some stability and close the gap and hunt down the Brewers here in the next month and a half. That would be awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe Alex Bregman can actually,
Stay
play
hot.
like half of Alex Bregman,
Yeah, he got hot a little bit going into
he has
the
he
last week
started
or
to get
so.
there.
Um,
Yeah.
so one of the things we talked a lot about with this show is kind of being the final like talking point is like obviously we're going to talk some coaches, hot seat stuff, but then we'll do a little free agency stuff because there are still some names, Dan, that over the next couple weeks as we're not on. Don't be surprised if all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, that guy signed with a team. Like there are still some names out there of guys that it wouldn't shock me if come December, January, they're making a play for a winning team, and there's still a chance they could get picked up here. So we'll do a little of that, and then we'll talk hot seat coaches as our kind of final prediction thing before we get into the records here.
For sure. Yeah. All right, let's dive in.
Some clickbait there. Some clickbait there.
You got the defending, AFC champion head coach, on the list. Um, yeah, no, I'd be very interested to see what your list of some top coaches that are either on the warm seat, the hot seat, the extremely hot red burning seat, going into the 2026 NFL season, and maybe some of these guys will be wrongfully, um, lambasted for their team's performance. And you've got Tweedledee and Tweedledum up in the front office making
Yeah.
these decisions. Shout out Bruce Levine. Did you see that, by the way? The tweet from Bruce Levine.
No.
I woke up to it this morning. The reporter for the Cubs. I thought for sure you would have seen it because Barstool Big Cat retweeted it. But that was my nod with Tweedledee and Tweedledum because Bruce Levine, who I don't know how old he is, but I'm guessing he's in his mid to late 70s. Um, Cubs reporter tweeted out what was clearly meant to be a text to a coach. And since he's the Cubs reporter, everyone's saying this has got to be a text meant for Craig Counsell or
Council.
one of the
Okay.
coaches on the Cubs. And he said, Oh
How
my
did I
gosh,
miss
I
this?
didn't even see the development now. He has straight up went and apologized about this. Okay. What he tweeted was, "You and the other coaches have been the stars of the team being 12 games over 500." So very specific. And the Cubs are 12 games over 500. He tweeted this yesterday at the home run derby. He said, "Let's hope Tweedledee and Twinkle Dumb don't sell you guys out like the 2025. Enjoy the family time, pal." It was like almost like a drunk
And he tweeted it instead of
and he
texting it.
tweeted it and then instantly deleted it, of
So is
course.
he
But
talking about then Ricketts and
I think he's talking about Jed Hoyer and Carter
yeah.
Hawkins,
Oh well, there
president of
you go.
baseball ops,
I was
and
gonna say
or it could
Hoyer
be Jed Hoyer and
and
Ricketts. Who
Ricketts,
knows?
yeah.
Um, but it was very clearly a text meant for a Cubs coach, probably
That's
Counsell.
awkward. That's very
And
awkward.
so that was really, really awkward. Anyway, I digress.
Tweedledee
Um,
and Tweedledum for sure.
you want to get into the free agents before we get into the head
Yeah,
coaches?
yeah,
Yeah,
I just think there's a couple
this
names.
list is interesting.
Yeah, so Warren Sharp put this out. I think it was just like a day ago he updated this, and I couldn't believe some of the names are on this list. Now he says his top 3 free agents available are Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, and Taylor Decker, the offensive tackle Decker. If you go all the way to the top, those are his first his like top 3 free agents. Go up one more, keep going up.
I don't know why it's okay, hold on.
You're formatting
Sorry.
there. Um yeah, those are if you
Weird
scroll
for
down just
me
a
because
tad
it's not
now.
all right, here we
Um
go. Ah,
there you
this
go.
is
Top
this
remaining
is just
free agents.
reloading and there we go. All
There it
right.
is. Hill, Stephon Diggs, and then Taylor Decker. Um, I listen. I've been a proponent of the Bears giving Decker a call. I think a lot of it's just going to wait. I think the Bears are waiting. I think Taylor Decker's waiting because there's going to be an injury, right? Uh, I truly think
Sure.
if Ozzy Trapillo, the Bears will find out if Ozzy Trapillo is gonna start the season or not. And if he's not, and then like they might have to put him on what is it like IR where you miss like 4 or 6 games or whatever.
Up
Um,
probably the physically
yeah,
unable
the
to
pup.
perform.
Then I think
Yeah.
like Taylor Decker's way in play for the Bears. But think about it. I mean, what if the Chargers? What if Slater or all isn't ready to go again? I think he's smartly waiting because I think through camp there will be a tackle, a starting tackle somewhere that goes down for a contending team, and he'll be a hot commodity. I would put him as the number 1 free agent available. Diggs and Hill, I think, are both very, very capable of providing a lift for a team. The problem
Yeah,
is,
but
Dan,
Hill's latest prospect is still that they're not sure if he's even ready to play in 2026,
I
let
know.
alone all the other stuff that's going on. But
Yes, and with Diggs has had some legal stuff too. My bigger thing with Hill and Diggs is just like, do you want to risk bringing them into your locker room? So I think those are interesting. I don't really have. I would say Tampa Bay would be the team. I would say if I was Tampa, I would look at Stephon Diggs because Godwin is older. You know, you have what's his name, the young wide receiver who exploded on the scene last year. Why can't I think of his name now?
yeah, oh my gosh,
Egbuka, Egmeka Egbuka.
Egbuka.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's like, okay, I feel like Baker could handle the personality that is Diggs. Godwin is a veteran you don't have to worry about. Egbuka's a stud. Diggs, I feel like could work in that type of world where the team,
I could see that.
a team. I'm just trying to throw a team that I'm like, okay, I feel like he could fill a need and also be a contender, a team that feels like they have to win, right? They're in a win now mode situation. Um, when he scrolled down there, if you go to the other free agent quarterbacks, it's funny.
Yeah,
Wilson,
Derek Carr, which didn't I thought I could have swore he retired, but
yeah,
I guess
but
he
I
did.
think
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
now past his contract with the
I see.
Saints. So that's where
Yeah,
it's like I think he could be considered a free agent. Russell Wilson, Jimmy G, Russell Wilson, I think the league has retired from him. If I was Russell Wilson, I would obviously leave the phone on because you never know what could happen again,
yeah, Joe Flacco type
right?
situation.
But I think I'm done with the Russell Wilson conversation. So the rest of the names on that list are brutal.
Yeah, just
Just
rough.
brutal.
The
This
the
one,
running backs are interesting. You
this
pointed out. I
one,
mean, Najee Harris,
yeah.
uh, he should be on an NFL roster.
Joe
Antonio
Mixon,
Gibson, Joe Mixon, Kareem Hunt has been extremely productive, even given his age, when he's come back to the Chiefs the last couple of
Austin
times.
Eckler and Cam Akers are guys I would take a flyer on for certain teams, right? Like Cam Akers, it feels like.
I don't know about Eckler. I feel like he's gotten too injured now.
But again,
And he's what
if
is he,
you're
34,
if you're
35?
like the Chargers or like the Giants, where it's like you go into a hardball culture where it's like, hey, we just need a third down option type of guy, I think it'd be interesting. But to me,
Yeah,
I
Nick
feel like
Chubb's on here,
yeah,
which obviously he's, a couple years
yeah.
removed from the knee injury. He didn't really look
But
like
Cam
himself.
Akers is a guy I feel like just 2 years ago, people were like, you're drafted him top 5 in your fantasy league, and now he's a free agent. That one really kind of, it feels like
Yeah,
it just happened so sudden.
yeah.
If
Hassan
you
Haskins is definitely a number 3 running back. He's
Mostert's another
Chase
guy I feel
Edmonds.
like we were just talking about, like, oh, a waiver wire must pick up Mostert. Now it's like free agent. Um,
Yep.
Besides Hill and Diggs, Ayuk and Debo Samuel and Keenan Allen and DeAndre Hopkins, Brandon Cooks, all interesting names. Um,
Yeah.
Keenan Allen, I thought played pretty well for the Chargers at times last year. The Chargers obviously are going into the season with Quentin Johnson, and then Lad McConkey. So I don't know what the Chargers' thought process is. Brandon Ayuk has become nuclear waste. Like no one wants to touch him because he's going
Yeah,
insane online.
very crazy.
Debo
That whole
Samuel just
situation.
feels like, again, like the game retired him. Like it didn't stay in enough shape, didn't stay healthy
Yeah.
enough, and he's not.
Curtis Samuel should still be able to make an NFL roster, you would
I
think.
agree. I would
Uh,
agree.
so like him and Josh Reynolds even. So yeah, there are definitely some interesting names. Alan Lazard has
Like
been
Keenan
a
Allen's a
retread.
guy I feel like if I'm the Ravens, I would bring in a big body Keenan Allen as I'd take a
Yeah.
flyer on him as a red zone target, especially.
Or the Bills even or something like that.
Maybe. Jonnu Smith is the only tight end of note because Ertz and
Ertz is
Waller.
so old and Waller had his moments last
Yeah,
year, but yeah,
yeah.
nothing really to speak of there. The tackle situation, some names on here, but nobody that's,
No one's
you
going to
know,
be a game changer besides Decker, probably.
yeah. And then what interior
Mekhi
Mekhi Becton,
Becton,
obviously a high pick just a few
he's
years
struggled to
back.
stay healthy.
Brady Christensen was a high pick just a few years back as well. So there's some names on here. Eichenberg.
Yeah, guys
Um,
to bring in. Edge rushers. This is an interesting list too of guys where, again, if you're a contending team and you need a
spot.
third down rusher, Kyle Van Noy, Jadeveon Clowney, Hassan Reddick, Von Miller, all Derek Barnett, even still Leonard Floyd still feels like a name where a guy, it's like in a third down in a big situation, I feel like they can make a play. Like if
Sure.
it's a passing situation. That was
Yeah,
pretty
I mean
much.
Shaq Barrett,
Yep.
but he's much older. Defensive
Uh,
lineman Christian Wilkins. That
isn't
whole
that
story is
crazy?
still bizarre because
I know.
he's not. I think he's still not 30, or he's like at 30, like still what should be the prime of his career. But that locker room stuff, I guess, there's got to be something
It's weird, dude.
really bad there for
I
this
would
to be the
agree.
case at this point.
And then if you keep scrolling down, the only other people that I thought was interesting is the safety Jabril Peppers. I mean, the linebackers, people are talking about Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner's rated like an 88 in Madden, which is just crazy. I did not
That
want to
is
get into Madden ratings. I don't want to do it. But like Jabril Peppers seems like a guy where I feel like he could still play.
Yeah, he could still hang, at least in some capacity. I mean, the league definitely has a shortage of quality safeties. So
No.
yeah, I can absolutely see him being
So it just
one there
name
too. So
like most every name
yeah,
we named are names that the casual NFL fan will know. Jonnu Smith, Tyreek Hill, you know what I mean? Like those are names. Nick Chubb. Those are names that casual NFL fans should know, and they're still floating around out there. And I feel like some of them, uh, in the right spot, could absolutely still make a huge difference. Especially a guy like a Taylor Decker for a team that is going to. We know it's going to happen. Knock on wood. Right now, it's not your team. We're going to get the report come mid-August. So and so is being carted off the field on a non-contact, and it's like Taylor Decker's out there. Go get him. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. So, all right, let's dive into the reason for the show here, which is the head coaches on the hot
Yeah.
seat. You've put together a list of who you think
Warm.
based on category. I'm happy to enter mine into a category as well. I kind of just had a list in my head of who I think's on the hot seat, but I think I could easily throw them into the
Cool.
categories you've laid out. So, I
So
mean, should we just start with who's on the whatever you
I'm
call
gonna say
the
warm.
burning hot,
I
the
would say
warm? Okay,
warm
let's go
because I
warm.
think warm is going to have the most discussion because I think it's the most, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
burning hot is pretty easy to me, but and because it's like it's pretty obvious. So I think the warm for me, I have three names in the warm. These are guys who I think I put them there because the expectation is high. They are with organizations that are expecting to make the playoffs, if not win playoff games. They are coaches that have quarterbacks, like have everything that they need. It's not like it feels like they are have a giant glaring hole. And I feel like I can see a world for each of these three coaches where either the coach at the end of the year needs the split or the team just goes, this was such a disaster, like things fall apart and it becomes such a disaster. They go, we're going to reset. And the name I'll start with because I think it's the most controversial is Mike Vrabel, and my case is just simply this: I believe there is at least a 1% chance, a greater than zero chance, the wheels can fall off for Mike Vrabel because of non things out of no longer in his control with TMZ, with Diana Rossini getting a job somewhere, her tell-all book comes out, whatever it might be. And if the Patriots underperform and things like that continue to swirl, and there's a one bad press conference after a week 7 loss and the Patriots are below 500, he gets asked about Diana Rossini's new book and he loses it or walks off. Like there's there is a world that happens. It's maybe a 1% chance, but that's why I think he belongs at least in the conversation for warm, where it's like him and the Patriots could say he needs to step away for time, and maybe that turns into something else. Am I nuts, or do you agree? There's at least a one
yeah.
percent chance that happens.
You're nuts. I mean, even if there's a 1% chance, there's probably a 1% chance for any coach in the league to get canned after this year. I
True.
mean,
Any coach
so
is texting a sideline reporter. Could happen.
look, I don't think he belongs on a list like this, and for a couple reasons. All right, let's go with the first one. He literally took the team to the Super Bowl last year. Uh, on top of that, the Patriots literally went out of their way to get Mike Vrabel. This was the plan all along.
Yeah.
They literally had a lame duck head coach for a year so that they could get Mike Vrabel. Also, you think the owner who had the massage room in Florida scandal,
Well,
who had a head coach go through Bounty Gate or not Bounty Gate, Deflate Gate, among others, the spying scandal, all of that. You think that head coach is gonna, or that owner is gonna fire a head coach because they cheated on their wife and was a potential locker room
I don't. Here's the
disaster?
difference: is I don't. I'm not going to argue he gets fired, but I would argue there is a 1% chance it goes so wrong, and his personal life gets so aired out. What if all of a sudden she starts dumping receipts or more things get unveiled about they were at this lodge and he was saying how he wants to be the father of her children. I don't know what can come
So
out.
you'd say it would all be by his own, like
It would he would have to
he's
say he
on
would
the warm
have
seat himself.
yes, that
Like,
he would have to say, and then they would lose games, right? So if he's winning games, it doesn't matter. It could come out, his dick could come out on the line. If they're winning games, it's fine. But if they're losing games and the personal life spirals more, that's all I'm saying. I just think
I don't know. I don't know. I
it's a
think he would
crazy
need
world.
more
But
than a
I
year
agree.
of not winning
I
games.
don't Patriots fire him, but I think it's a what's best for Mike Vrabel right now is stepping away. You know,
He'd have to get some internal pressure, I think, to make
okay.
that move out aside from himself.
I
I
know.
don't think he would just 100% take it upon himself to do that.
Okay.
I think he would need to be coerced or pressured, be like, "Hey,
All
Mike,
right.
this we don't want to fire you, but like, you gotta make a call here. Like, and I just don't see them doing that.
All right,
But anyway.
who's a person on your warm? I have two others, but
I actually do have a controversial pick that for the warm seat here, so maybe we'll have a discussion. To me, Matt LaFleur.
on my
And
list, not controversial. I think it's
okay,
he's on my
good.
warm. He's on my warm.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I think at this point in time, after this year, I don't think he'll get fired midseason. So we're talking
No.
after the season. That'll be 5 years removed from Aaron. And what have you put forth in your 5 full years without Aaron Rodgers? And you haven't won much. And especially I think it really, like, Jordan Love's performance this year is going to be a massive tie to Mike LaFleur's job, Matt LaFleur. I keep screwing this up because of the brothers. We need to get some fewer brothers out there. But Matt LaFleur's, kind of hitched his wagon to Jordan Love. He's supposed to make it work to where they are sustaining that level of success. And now, is he going to be a part of the Bears overtaking the North? And all of a sudden, now you go 9-7 this year. Next year, don't win the division,
No.
and probably lose an early playoff game. Then there's going to be some real questions there in Green Bay about, look, Matt, you're a good coach, but like you're clearly not the right coach for us anymore, and we need to part ways. So I do think that he needs to. They got to make the playoffs for sure. But I also think like Jordan Love needs to be like an answer here, other than more question marks at the end of the season.
So I would argue. I agree with everything you say. I'm going to take it a slightly different route just for the sake of going a different way this happens. And I think the different way this happens is it's just a mutual. It's Matt LaFleur going, I think it's not working. We should part ways, right? They finished 9. They finished 9-8 again. They finish in that 7th seed again. They don't win a playoff game again. Jordan Love maybe has to miss a game or two again. And it's like, hey, they're paying Jordan Love a ton of money. They are all in on Jordan Love. And it's like, okay, maybe I feel like LaFleur would get a job like that. He absolutely could do the thing that Vrabel did, where it's like, I'm going to take a year off. I'm going to go hang out with Sean McVay as an offensive catalyst. You know what I mean? And then he'll be right back in it with like his pick of the litter. Listen, the Packers have not won a division with the combination of Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur. They won that big playoff game, and it was a big playoff game in Dallas. But that was 3 years ago, and since then, it feels like it's leveled out. I don't think it's his fault. I think LaFleur is a good coach. I think he's an above-average NFL coach. I think he belongs in that top 10 conversation, and you can win a lot of games with LaFleur. But I think it's one of those where it's like, if for some reason, what if they end up 8-9, right? Like it's a Packers team that is a good team. But what if something happens, there's another injury, there's something, and the team and him just look at each other and go, this is going to be a mutual parting of ways, and he's going to step away and blah, blah, blah. Because they're not going to move on from Jordan Love. Like, they're just not going to do it. That's not the Packers' MO. And Jordan Love's too talented. Like, the only way you're moving on from Jordan Love is if he's injured. Like, if he misses games again, and it's like more than the 2 or couple games, and it's like, dude, this guy just can't stay healthy for as talented as he is, especially coming after Favre and Aaron, who were Iron Men for their careers. I think that could be a thing that maybe then LaFleur has some sort of case where it's like, listen, we'll go one more year. But I do think LaFleur on seat being warm is an interesting conversation. But it's not going to shock me if they win 11 games, everything's fine. And LaFleur's
definitely. Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah. But I think there's a more than zero chance things happen to a way where LaFleur or the Packers are like, this we got to just shake things up.
I think it was kind of hard to put this coach in. To put them in the warm category, because I could easily see it being a hot seat too. But just given the track record of what we've seen recently, I feel like
So you have one more and
The
warm.
benefit of the doubt's there, and I think Nick Sirianni's more on the warm seat
Oh,
than
okay.
hot
Okay.
because
So
they still went 11-6. There's been a lot of dysfunction, and they're still winning. Now, obviously, we can all point to that, and Howie Roseman and company inside can point to the roster and Howie Roseman as being the reason that this team has, sustained
continue to win.
success despite all of the
Yeah.
dysfunction. But it's still a part of his resume,
So
right?
you're going to go
And
Sirianni warm.
yeah, I
So
am.
I have Sirianni hot.
Yeah.
And the only reason I would argue against starting him in warm and starting him in hot is it's Philly. He's already been talked about, right? The amount of coordinators, it's crazy the amount of coordinators he's gone through. And we
Mhm.
have evidence of a guy winning a Super Bowl and then 2 years later getting fired after a bad season in Philly. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this is now the window where it's like they weren't going to fire him last year, no matter what, because he just won a Super Bowl. Now we're in the Doug Peterson category. It's like, okay, that Super Bowl was now 2 years ago, and if things don't go well, fire. I think it's fair to say hot, especially because the distraction is out, right? The AJ Brown distraction is gone. So you should be able to command your offense and lead without any sort of locker room issues, right? And I do think at some point in time,
Unless the stories of Jalen Hurts are correct.
well, and then there you go. And then, but is the organization willing to go, we're choosing Hurts over Sirianni
Right,
or
for
Sirianni
sure.
over Hurts? Or, and I think this plays into why it would be hot, do they can Sirianni and say, we have to give Hurts at least one more year because of his contract? We're going to see if a new coach with Hurts fixes Hurts. And if then it doesn't work, then we move on from Hurts with our new coach. You know what I mean? So I do think it's a teetering situation um, there for sure. I mean, do
Yeah.
you have I convinced you a little bit, or are you?
Yeah, I'm not like super strong
Yeah,
on either one, but I just based on what I'm seeing with the others on this list, um, of all the head coaches, I
yeah.
think there are way more that are on hotter seats, and so I
I
was
would
like,
agree.
if
It's
I'm
it's not.
realistically gonna have
Yeah.
some coaches in the warm category, I think for those on my list, he fit the bill more than others. I'm curious who your other warm coach was because
So I
I'm
have one
I'm
more warm,
struggling.
and
Yeah,
I, I put him on there just purely because I think that they're the most talked about team on sports media every year, and that's the Dallas Cowboys. So I'm going to go Brian Schottenheimer. It's warm. It's warm.
interesting. See, I
He
I would
was
put him on. I have him on the hot seat
okay. So the reason I
more
have
so.
warm is because Jerry actually gives his coaches time.
He does,
He gives his
he
coaches
does,
time.
but
So
he's also at the end of his run.
he's at the end of his
He's
life.
probably gonna
Yes.
get a little, yeah.
So I
He's
would
probably gonna
say
get a little more, you know,
so.
urgent.
Yeah. So if I was going the rankings, I would have like so. Schottenheimer is the warmest of warm, and Sirianni was my coldest of hot. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah,
So they're
yeah.
right
So we
next to
just
each
got
other.
those flipped
So we
probably.
basically have those flipped. Um, and then I have Vrabel on. You don't have Vrabel on, and we both have Lafleur as like the floor. So
Yeah.
okay, so we're not too far off here. I would say my concern with Schottenheimer, if I'm Brian Schottenheimer and I'm worried about getting fired, is that if things come off the rails. If I'm 9 wins, if I'm above 500, I should keep my job for one more year. That's the Jerry Jones way, right? Then next year I would start him if they're just at 9 wins on hot, hot, hot. Jerry's going to be very impatient. Dak's contract, all this, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you could try to convince me to flip it, but I mean, are you're just saying you're more on this is a Jerry maybe going against Jerry's
I
trend
think
because
that I
he's
I think the fact, if they go another they went 7-9 last year, if they go 7-9 again, I mean, back-to-back 7-9 seasons for the Dallas
yeah
Cowboys, I'm sorry. Like, they got rid of Mike McCarthy and who put together 4 12-win campaigns with
yeah
them.
yeah that's a great
So,
point. And they have
um,
all the weapons. They have
they've got all the
offensively all the
weapons.
weapons. And
Dak's not gonna be going anywhere, I don't think. It's
no,
possible that he would become a free agent after next season, I believe.
yeah,
But
but also defensively they should be better because they don't have Matt Eberflus anymore. Like they literally addition by subtraction in
yeah,
just that world.
yeah.
Um, Okay, so I will go the next person on my hot. So this is now we're like mid hot. I think pretty securely hot. Um, I
We need
have
like the medium rare,
the skull.
medium
We're doing like the
steak. We
hot
need the
wing.
steak,
We're
yeah, the
yeah,
hot
we're
wings,
doing
yeah,
yeah,
thermometer, yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
I would say so. I have a name on here that is just above Sirianni, and I think it's just because I think this organization just is the perfect organization for like if they don't win, it just feels like refresh, and that's Todd Bowles. So I have
Yeah,
Bowles. So I have
yeah,
Bowles right there in the sense of like I think Bowles is a solid coach, but Bowles is older. Yes, he's won 3 divisions. He's won a couple playoff games. I don't think Baker or anyone doesn't like him, but I think this is a team that feels like their identity right now is we're going to pay the quarterback less money and we're going to try to fill out a really good roster. And I feel like they have a really solid roster when healthy, and they have a roster that on paper should win that division. Like there should be absolutely like competing with Carolina,
for
New
sure.
Orleans, and Atlanta. That division's wide open. And I feel like if they end up eight wins or less, they could argue we have a roster, we have a quarterback we're not paying, but who plays above his pay grade. We're going to go get an offensive coach and just try to see if this we're going to keep with Baker on this kind of team friendly deal with an offensive coach and see if this works. And then if we still win another 8 or 9 games the next year, we move on from Baker, but we have our offensive coach and now we're resetting, whatever
Yeah.
it might be. They feel like
Well, and they struggled last year without Liam Cohen. So
they did.
it was like, okay, Todd, was your success really actually tied to more of your
Offensive
support
coordinators,
staff and getting the
Canales and
most out of
Cohen.
Baker? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely agree with that. I also think the lack of talent overall in the division that removes any excuses for them because they do have still the
Yeah.
easiest division in football. And so if you can't win it again, I mean, you let Carolina come over the top last year. If you don't win it again with how easy it is, it's going to get
Yeah.
harder now because Carolina is getting better. Atlanta is getting better. So I think that's kind of the biggest reason for it. They kind of just feel like that team now that's
Yeah.
in purgatory. It's felt like the Steelers in some ways where they're like they reach a level of for Tampa it was better because they elevated themselves to a
Yeah.
position of
They won a Super Bowl
they raised their floor.
and they've won.
Yeah, yeah,
But it does feel like, okay, this iteration of Tampa, if they don't win 11 games and win a playoff game under Todd Bowles this year, it feels like the easy way to revamp that team would be like, let's go get an offensive coach, right? Like,
sure,
without having to totally reheal the roster.
yeah,
I have 2 more in the hot category, and then I
yeah.
have 1 in the red hot. So I have 3 more names. So I don't know how you want to keep
Yeah.
counting up.
I mean, I'll add one name in there that I'm sure is in hot. Zach Taylor.
Yes. So he's
I
not
would think
he's
yeah.
not at the he's at the top of my hot.
Yeah. I think that's fair. He's pretty close. I think I can probably guess who your red hot um coach is, but to me, who I think you have as the red hot coach, I think is still just really hot. um, but not um you know, sound the alarms type of situation. That would be Dan Quinn for me. Am I correct
Ooh,
in
so
assuming Dan?
I have Dan Quinn right below Zach Taylor. I have him in a hot.
Okay, okay, so that is where okay, we have
So
him in
I
the same
have
place
so
then.
my the
I
next three I
assumed
have is so the next three I have would be like Dan Quinn, Zach Taylor, and then the
yeah,
really hot, the
yeah,
red hot is Aaron Glenn.
Aaron Glenn. Yeah, which makes
Yeah.
that makes perfect sense. I
Aaron Glenn
forgot. I
is a
was
dead
thinking you
man
had
walking.
2 in the red hot, but it's
Aaron,
yeah,
Aaron
no, it
Glenn's a dead man
makes
walking. And if
perfect
I
sense.
and if I was Aaron Glenn, I would go to my GM and my owner and be like, we should go try to get if Tyreek Hill can play, we should go try to get Tyreek Hill. If Stephon Diggs can play, we should try to go get Stephon Diggs. They need another weapon like that. They have Geno Smith, who has proven in the recent years can put up some numbers with weapons. And if I'm Aaron Glenn, I'd be like, that if their answer to that is going to tell me how dead I am. Because the
Right, right.
Jets ownership and GM in front office should be like, let's win 3 games. Like that should be their goal, right? Win 3 games. But if I'm Aaron Glenn, I want to keep my job, and I'm not keeping my job if I don't win probably 6 games or more, right? He's probably got to win 6 or more to be like, look at the culture change. I'm changing the culture. I'm doing the Dan Quinn. I'm winning games.
Mhm.
He's probably got to get to at least 6, and even if he gets to 6, I don't think he's safe. I think he's safe if he gets to like 7 or more. I think 7 or more would be really hard to fire a guy who went 3 wins to 7 wins with Geno Smith and that. Like I feel like even the Jets fans be like, you can't fire him. Like he's showing the culture's changing, right? In that division, to get to 7 wins, I think would be really impressive with that roster. So it's a huge battle for him. That's why he's on the really red hot, because they're the perfect team. If he starts 0-3 or 0-4, they fire him and then they go, oh well, and we're benching Geno, and the Jets will be in number 1 pick mode by October, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they're the perfect team for that. So he's the only one in red hot. I have
If I wanna give the devil's advocate version for Aaron Glenn, the case would be they got rid of Sauce Gardner. They mailed everything in to get boatloads of picks and just kind of kick the can down the road. And so you could argue they kicked the can down the road knowing that there's no reasonable expectation for Aaron Glenn in the short term, because they haven't even supplied him with a
true. So
quarterback.
maybe he wins 5 games and they end up with the 4th pick and they keep him because they actually
Right.
like what he's doing and they know
Yeah.
he hasn't gotten a roster.
Or or they're saying we want to get a really solid head coach in here that can help us make these really pivotal picks for the future of our team, and Aaron Glenn was just a placeholder, like a
Yeah.
Gerard Mayo type situation. That very well could be the case.
Yeah, my
And so I think I agree with you. I'm just kind of making
I think it's a
the
fair
opposite
devil's
case
advocate.
and.
I
Yeah.
think here's the thing. If you're the Jets and you see what the league is doing with teams that were really struggling and then turn it around really quickly, a lot of it is you look at the Bears, the Texans. I mean, you could argue the Commanders. We're
The
going to talk about Dan
Lions.
Quinn in a sec. The Lions, where it's like you get the head coach and the quarterback right, and things can change really quickly. The Jets obviously need to get the quarterback right. And if I'm the Jets and you end up picking 1, 2, or 3 and getting the guy you want, I don't know how you could feel confident. I mean, it's like the Bears. It was so embarrassing where they're like, no, we're going to Matt Eberflus and Caleb Williams. Like that was insane. That was an
Yeah.
insane year. And it was so unfair to Caleb. It was so unfair to everyone in that situation. Like it was insane to think that Eberflus was the right guy for Caleb. If the Jets end up with Arch Manning, it's going to be insane to think that Aaron Glenn is the right guy for Arch Manning. It's an insane thought. It's an insane
That's a
thought.
good point. Yeah, I hadn't
But
thought of it in
teams
those
like the
terms, but
Bears
that's
did it.
a good point.
So maybe the Jets will do it too. I don't know. So Zach Taylor, I think it's pretty obvious. They just need to win. If Zach Taylor gets to the playoffs, I think he'll survive. Like I think he'll survive. This Bengals team needs a season to then launch. They're not ready to win the Super Bowl. I think they're a good team. I think they are a team that probably should be favored to I don't know, favored to win the division, but I wouldn't shock me if they win the division. Like they have the
Yeah.
best quarterback in that division. They have the best wide receiver in that division. They have the most stability head coach in that division. I feel like this is just a team that, like, if they make the playoffs, whether it's wild card or if it's wild card, I think they need to win a playoff game. If it's they win the division, I think he's safe, and just reassert that, like, hey, when our quarterback is healthy, we're a good pair and we can win. We can win this division.
Yeah.
But if they don't make the playoffs, you got to can them, and you got to refresh that organization to just saying, I know the owner doesn't want to spend money, but at least he'll show like I'm trying to win without spending money, right? Like by doing that, it's an easy sell to the
Sure.
fans. And then I would agree with you, Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn got screwed by the fact that his quarterback's elbow is apparently made of tissue paper. I will keep saying it. It's the most freak thing I've seen in so long that Jane
Yeah.
Daniels injured.
Yeah, and
Jane
they took a
Daniels
nosedive. I mean, everything fell with that.
Jane
Everything
was
fell
not
apart.
playing well before the injury. He rushes back then because he was injured. Then he rushes back, gets injured again. It's like I think it's fair to say, okay, one really good, one not so good. This is the defining year. And if this is the defining year, then it's a hot seat year. Like it has to be a hot seat year. Um, I think if you're Dan Quinn, you keep your job. If you get to 8 wins, 9 wins, and it feels like offensively you're dynamic, your quarterback has shown that he's back to like being a franchise guy, but hey, it's a tough division and we got meddled up with a week or two there, a week or two here, and I can keep my job. I think anything less than that, he's definitely fired because again, you lost your offensive coordinator who basically just kind of said, I just don't want to do this anymore. I just don't want to be with Dan Quinn
Yeah.
and Jane Daniels anymore, which is wild. It's a wild thing. Cliff Kingsbury, who's a hot name, is just like, I'm done with Jane Daniels in this whole situation. I don't think it speaks too well to your leadership. So I think Dan Quinn has got a ton to prove. And it sucks because you have a quarterback that I also feel like has a ton to prove now. And that feels like that's just not, those are
It's a lot of
magnets.
pressure for a team
It's
that
just that,
doesn't even need to have the pressure,
yeah, when you're
like they
putting those
shouldn't have this
magnets,
pressure.
when you're trying to put the magnets, it feels like that's just, I don't want anything near that. I don't know what I'm going to do with Washington yet. They're going to be my biggest kind of question mark team when we do our records predictions. I'm going to have to really go over the roster and really look at their schedule. I think Philly's got a better
They
roster, and
they and the
Dallas.
New York Giants are the two of the teams that I have no idea what I'm gonna
I feel a little
end
more
up
confident with the
predicting with
Giants,
them.
just being like, I'm going to find a way to get them to like 6-7 wins. But I just don't think they're going to. I don't feel confident. I know Colin Coward's already been like the Giants are going to make the playoffs. I don't have
Oof,
that much faith. I don't have that much faith
I
in
don't know about
Scatterbo
that.
and Dart. Like that's a. I love Harbaugh. Don't get me wrong, but I also think Harbaugh is in the perfect situation to be like, I didn't pick Jackson Dart, and if like
Mhm.
so, yeah, I think that Quinn is in a really tough spot because again, that organization will not move on from Jane Daniels if things don't go well this year.
Right,
If
right.
Jane Daniels does not have a good year, it is all hands on deck to get whatever offensive coach it is to save Jane Daniels, and that means Dan Quinn's gone. So Jane
Yep.
Daniels needs to either have a Pro Bowl, All Pro level year, and you miss the playoffs. I think he could survive that. I think he could survive making the playoffs, and Jane Daniels is fine. He's not going to survive Jane Daniels not playing well and missing the playoffs. And I think there's a chance he doesn't survive Jane Daniels not playing well and making the playoffs. As I think if he finds a way to back into the playoffs as an 8 or 9 win team, and Daniels has been fine, I think there's the argument to make. Well, yeah, this team is pretty good. We need to unlock Jane Daniels, and you're not the guy to do it. Like I think that would also
Mhm.
be the argument. So he's got a very thin line to walk.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. No, I think that's a good list of coaches there, and that's
So
how many total was that for us that
I
we
have
that we
I have 9, including
rattled
Vrabel. So
off?
if we get rid
Okay,
of
yeah.
Vrabel, it's 8, and
So
we get
that's
10.
potentially the same turnover that we've seen this past year.
I think it'll be less than that. I think it'll be more like
I think
five,
so
six,
too. Yeah,
seven, because I do
yeah.
think this is some stretches. The guys who got fired, I think, it was crazy. I mean, you think about Tomlin and Harbaugh. Like there were some 10 was big for it was a special year to hit 10. I have one other category, and
Okay.
just really quickly, I think you'll be interested in this. Fine, no matter what happens, these three people, if they want their job, it is their job. I have three names:
Okay.
Reed, McDonald, McVay. Fine, no matter what.
Mm,
I will not include Shanahan. I won't even include Ben Johnson because I do think that if the Bears, we know, had Matt Nagy and Mitch Trubisky made a Pro Bowl and the double doink game and lose in heartbreaking fashion, just like the Bears lost in heartbreaking fashion, you're like, the Bears. And 2 years later, he was fired. Now, granted, Nagy survived the bad next year, so I would assume Ben Johnson would survive if it was a bad year. I assume the Shanahan would survive if it's a bad year. But I don't think it's a guarantee. If things fall off the rails and they are a 5-6 win team, I know that's a huge if. I can see Shanahan and the organization would be like, this just is just
Yeah, no, I mean, I could see them
there's a
feeling like
curse here.
that
We
window
can't
has passed at
yeah,
this
we
point.
can't and we need the organization is old. It's a lot of old players. I mean, Mike Evans, Trent Williams, like Kittle, like at that point you just say to yourself, we probably should just so those are the three.
There's
Is there
one
another
name for me that comes to mind that I would include in that,
okay,
though.
sell me on it.
Kevin O'Connell,
See, now that
because
I disagree.
I think he's got he's got every possible answer to why this went off the rails. You guys gave me JJ McCarthy.
But I agree. But so my counter argument would be I could see O'Connell wanting to be like, I'm waving the white flag.
Oh, I see. Well,
And
I
it's
don't know.
a
I
new
mean,
GM.
how many coaches do that though? That
It's
doesn't
not a
really
lot.
happen.
You're
It-
right.
it- it's pretty rare for that to happen. There's no
O'Connell
guarantee
is
that
the
you're going to get a
closest.
job.
O'Connell and Dan Quinn, I would say, are the next two closest in that category. I feel like Dan Quinn's got a little bit of a job for life type of thing with Detroit, where it's like
Oh yeah, Campbell. You said
Dan.
Quinn, but yeah.
Sorry, Dan Campbell. Where it's a little bit of like a, and I
Yeah.
think that both the Harbaughs are very close to that as well. I think a lot would have to go wrong for them to get fired. But I would agree. I think the three names of Reed, McDonald, and McVay are like they're pretty untouchable right now.
Yeah.
McVay's issue is like if things go off the rails that badly, I feel like McVay and Stafford was like,
Yeah. Yeah, right off in the sunset together. Yeah. Yeah, let somebody else figure out Ty Simpson.
Yeah, I'm already sweating now thinking about the Giants and the Commanders in the NFC East. What the hell am I going to do with the NFC East?
It's
These predictions, Joe's.
Good thing we're going to have a break here to think about
Figure it out. I have to do some real grind research. Send me, if anyone out there is watching and listening, send me your recommendations because I'm sellable on the NFC East. It's open. It's open to be sold for the rankings.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh, that's going to be a tough one. NFC South too, man. The South is like.
I know. There's so many things up in the air with a lot of these teams.
I know a lot of people say, well, the East, the NFC West and the North. Like, well, there's good teams. I feel like I know who's going to make the playoffs. Like, okay, so what if I pick the Bears to win the division, but they come in second and they still make the play? You're not way off. But I feel like with the NFC East, you could be way off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For sure.
I feel like the South, I could be like the Saints are going to win the division. They end up fourth, and it's like
right. Yeah. Oh, good stuff. Well, like we mentioned, we are taking this break, 2 weeks off. We'll be back in August to officially start our divisional previews, laddering up, of course, to our conference predictions.
Who's on Hard Knocks this year? Is Liev Schreiber?
Dude, I don't even know. I've gotten sick of that shit.
I'm so out on Hard Knocks.
Me too.
It's too much. The NFL, the quarterback Netflix thing comes out.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's
Baker, Jane Daniels. Jane Daniels will be interesting to watch. See his mentality with those.
For sure. No, that will be an interesting one to watch. I think I might tune into that. But all right, well, yeah, send us in your predictions of the next couple of weeks. Then we can see how ours compare. But yeah, just be on the lookout. Stay tuned. Enjoy the next couple of weeks off. We hope to see everybody back here in August for our full ramp up to the 2026 NFL season.